welcome to the second episode of 3 in the Key. Stay tuned as we talk about some standings. We'll talk about some great things going on all across the state of Pennsylvania with high school boys basketball. Stay tuned as we are live on the Sports Fanbase Network. Good evening, high school basketball fans, and welcome to episode number 2 of 3 in the Key, the show on the Sports Fanbase Network that is breaking down all of high school boys basketball across the entire state of Pennsylvania. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Richie Blyweiss, and I'm joined by Josh Abrams and Jack Kapp. Thank you guys so much. It feels like I haven't seen you in a while, but I think that's just because we look at these news articles that are happening across the state, and we see so much happening. I'm used to football. I'm used to high school football at this point. We get one game a week. Yeah. I'm not used to 3 games, 4 games a week even.
That's the reason why I don't play fantasy basketball. It's too much to keep up with.
There's a lot. There's just too much, and you imagine high school fantasy basketball. You can do that.
Oh my goodness.
Man, you wouldn't know where to go.
Started.
No, you wouldn't know where to start, but I think we got something. I think we got a good idea there. In our last episode that you guys checked out last week, and thank you so much for tuning in last week, but in that episode, we broke down so much of what we were looking forward to seeing in this season coming ahead. Well, now we're a week in, and for a lot of these teams, they're a few weeks in. So they have been breaking down, we're going to be breaking down this season as it's been unfolding, and we're going to talk about what we expect coming through. We're going to look at some standings. We're going to look at a lot of things, but over the break for the holidays, it was just so nice to be able to get ourselves ready for this season, and just so much that is happening. For you viewing at home, be sure to chime in on Facebook Live. We would love to hear from you as you're watching live during the show. Also, please be sure to share this out. We want you to watch, but we want your friends to watch. We want your family to watch. We want everybody to watch so they can all follow along with high school boys basketball across Pennsylvania. But if you can chime in during the show and leave your comments, leave your questions, we have our producers and our production assistants standing by so that they can tell us what it is you're saying. We want to talk about your schools. We want to talk about your favorite players. Speaking of things to talk about, one of our segments that we're going to feature each week as we move forward on the show, we're going to give you a trivia question. And this week's trivia question, we're going to pop it up here on the screen. We want you to put your answer in the comments below as you're watching. Even if you're not watching live. If you are, that's great. But if you're not, put what you think your answer is in the comments below. We're going to talk about it at the end of the show. We're going to give you the answer. But here's the question. Who is the winningest coach in Pennsylvania Public League history? The winningest coach with the most wins. So don't answer it just yet.
Not going to answer.
Don't answer it yet, Kapp and Josh.
It's actually Philadelphia Public League history.
Philadelphia Public League. Oh, we got to be a little bit more specific. Philadelphia Public League history.
Philadelphia Pub. Right.
Absolutely. Well, tune in. You got that at the end of the show.
Should be a good one.
It'll be a good one. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to hear how you guys break this down. One of the things we want to do here as we start off our show, we want to give some love to our friends over at City of Basketball Love. They go through each week and do some different standings and all. We want to take a look at them, see how much we agree, see if we disagree a little bit. But let's take a look at this. I'm going to start with 1A here. 1A, we've got 5 schools. I'm going to go from 5 up to 1. They give a 10. I'm just going to go 5. It's too early in the year to go 10 at this point. But I want to hear what you guys think. And I think as we get closer to 6A, we'll have a lot more to say at this point. But let's go 5. Millville, out of District 4, they're 9-0. Sankofa Freedom, they're District 12, they're 6-4. Faith Christian from District 1 is 8-1. Girard College, 6-5, they're in second. And in first for 1A is Kennedy Catholic, they're 9-1. They were in first place last week. The standings really haven't changed very much. But guys, any comments on these 1A teams? That maybe Sankofa Freedom a little bit, Girard College, Faith Christian, anything at all?
To start from a general a general state of mind. On the rankings here, it says that these teams that you mentioned: Kennedy Catholic, Girard College, Faith Christian, and Sankofa Freedom. Yeah, they were previously ranked 1 through 4. So I think a big reason why we're not going to get much time. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about teams like this is only because there's not a lot of variety there's not a lot of variety in terms of rankings. You see the top 4 teams have been ranked top 4 for the second week, however many weeks in a row that they've been doing these rankings. So what we're looking for is maybe a little bit more variety. Maybe some of these teams like Millville can try and get their way to the top, but perennial powers in single A, Kennedy Catholic and Girard College, a lot easier said than done.
And they finished number 1 and number 2 in the state last year. Faith Christian was right behind them in the semifinals. And the one that's interesting actually is Sankofa Freedom, because it's a Philly school, and they beat ML King earlier in the year, which was a big upset. Coached by Isaiah Thomas. He's also a politician. I know him a little bit. I think he's still there. I hope he's still there. Great guy, great ball player himself. And it's good to see Sankofa Freedom getting some attention.
Not the Isaiah Thomas, though.
Well, it's a third Isaiah Thomas, actually. They're all good ball players.
They're all
three
good.
of them, yeah.
They're all good. Let's move on to 2A. So 2A started at number 5 here in the rankings, in the COBL rankings, I want to say. Bishop McCourt, they're a District 6 team. They're 6-0, moving up a spot from 6th place last week. Our Lady Sacred Heart, District 7, they're 9-1. Sewickley Academy, they're 7-1. Math, Civics, and Sciences, a school we're going to talk about a little bit later on. They're 4-4, playing 500 ball, ranked number 2, and then Constitution in District 12, they're also 4-4. Thoughts?
Yeah, well, both Constitution and Math, Civics, and Science, MCS, are perennial contenders for the state championship, and they go at each other very, very hard during the season. It's a rivalry that's become great over the years. They're both 4-4, but because they played a very heavy schedule in December.
Yeah, you got to remember that MCS and Constitution are both in the public league, so they're more likely than not playing teams that are in much higher divisions than them. The strength of schedule does not do any justice for their record.
Well, but I think that's fair. I think that's taken into effect here. You look and you see you've got teams that are 6-0, 9-1, 7-1. They're going 5-4-3 here. But then you look at Constitution and MCS 4-4. Yeah. They're coming in at 1-2. So I think they're playing into that.
Yeah,
into that idea.
Good preparation for a 2A play.
And both of those teams, Constitution and MCS, could beat any team on any given day.
Wow,
that's how good they are.
Wow. So, COBL 3A class. Let's see what we agree and disagree with here. Number 5 comes in with Greenville, District 10 school. They're 5-1. Lincoln Park, a 500 team at 4-4. They're up 1 spot from the 5th rank. Fairview, District 10. They're 8-1. Valley Forge, 8-1. They were in 2nd place last week. And then number 1, I think, who we really want to talk about, we'll talk more in depth in a little bit, is Newman Grady. I don't want to get too into Newman Grady right now. We got a little bit to talk about them soon.
I mean, Newman Grady, clearly best team maybe in the state overall.
Wow.
And every year it's the same thing. 7 out of 8 state championships.
Again, pointing out that 6-3 record that Newman Grady has. It's all about the strength of schedule, like we talked about with MCS and Constitution. Those 3 losses probably may not hurt them all that much going down the stretch.
I can see that. Let's go on to 4A. We said we're moving through this very, very quickly. 4A, number 5 spot here right now. Newcastle out of District 7. They're 8-2. Berks Catholic, also 8-2. They're from District 3. Quaker Valley, they're a District 17. Perfect record so far, 7-0. Bethlehem Catholic out of District 11, 8-1. And then Imhotep Charter at number 1. Big football team here, coming back now with basketball. They're 9-2. They've been number 1 for the last couple of weeks.
And let's not forget, Newcastle, number 5 team that you just said, Richie, is a former state champion. Went back when they had the 4 classifications going from 1A to 4A. Newcastle won it all in 2014 and actually ended up finishing undefeated. So you never know what kind of noise they could make a couple years later.
And by the way, Imhotep, just as much a basketball school as a football school. And I've seen 3/4 of a game so far, and they are, I've been naming them, the Thundering Herd. They're going to be really, really good during the season. Going to be real tough to beat. The Thundering Herd.
All right, well, let's go to 5A here. Let's move through this. 5A, coming in at number 5, out of District 2, Abington Heights. Coming in at number 4, Mars from District 7. They're 6-2. Yeah. And then we go to Archbishop Carroll in the 3rd spot. They're 6-4. Bonner Prendy from District 12, 9-2. And then Archbishop Wood, number 1, they're 4-4. So we talk about the difficulty of schedule there. 4-4 has them ranked at number 1.
So COBL has the top 3 teams in 5A that
All Catholic League.
all Catholic leagues.
All Catholic League.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Abington Heights, I feel they're ranked very high because they're the only team on that list from District 2.
Yeah, and let me ask you about this whole District 12 and Catholic League. You look at these two, the schedules. I mean, Bonner Prendy's at 9-2 right now.
They're very good.
Archbishop Woods at 4-4. Why is Bonner Prendy at 9-2 when Archbishop Woods at 4-4?
One of those losses.
Are we just looking at strength of schedule at this point?
Well, one of those losses that Wood took was to Monteverde, which is the number 2 team in the nation.
Yeah.
And so on. I mean, Wood sets up its schedule to play really strong programs and to test the kids out and
I
get them
think
playing
that's
against
I
good
think that's a general goal for most high school
Absolutely.
coaches
Do
you
before
see-
league play.
Do you see Wood and Bonner Prendy really staying in 1 and 2 spots through 5A?
I see Bonner Prendy probably surprising a few teams down the road. They have
Is
a
9-2
guard.
not surprising to this point?
It is a little
is,
bit,
okay.
but I think they had. We'll talk about him a little later. Isaiah Wong came over from New Jersey, and he's really added a lot to this.
Yeah, we
program.
definitely want to talk
Very
about Isaiah Wong.
unselfish player.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. 6A. Big time.
Oh yeah.
Coming in at 5, State College. They're from District 6. They're a perfect 10-0 right now. Roman Catholic, District 12. They're 5-3. Hazelton. They're a District 2 team coming in at 7-0. Abington. They are staying at the number 2 spot. They're a District 1 team, local to us. We're going to talk Abington in a little bit. And then at the very top, Plymouth White Marsh. PW has a perfect 9-0 record.
And
guys.
you understand why 6A is so recognized because 4 of the top 10 teams are undefeated. And I know we had undefeated teams as we got through the lower classifications. But this is why, reasons like this are the reason why 6A games are the games to look out for. They're the ones where you're going to get standing room only crowds.
Yeah.
And both of those teams at the top have outstanding players. We'll mention them coming up soon.
Yeah.
And you're going to see some big time names coming out of those 2 programs.
Absolutely. So we just went through 1A through 6A. We said that's going to be very quick. We wanted just to look 1A through 6A very quickly as we move through and look at what COBL really thinks are the standings kind of at this point. It is still early in the year. We need to remember that. It's very early in the year. We talk about strength of schedule really making it making a big factor out of this. But really, I just think we're too early to look at standings at this point. I think this is all just spec to this point. We really need at least another 3 or 4 weeks before standings or even thoughts of standings become a factor.
Once you get into league play, that's when you're really going to know where each team racks up in terms of playoff seeding, where each team deserves to be seeded.
And I think the playoff seeding is really what's going to be exciting for us. Once we get into this, looking at the season, breaking things down, sure, that's our meat. But I think the real dessert of it is the end of the season. Going into those playoffs, that's what's really going to be fun. To see where your team is seeded, see what your potential matchups really come out to be. That's really what I'm looking forward to at this point. But we're still a couple months away from that, I think.
And the December games are the appetizer. I mean, if the end of the season is the dessert, well, that was the appetizer.
Yeah.
And now we're going to be in the meat of it where they face up against each other in league play.
Let's get to the meat of it.
Let's
talk about some local teams right now. We're right out in the Philadelphia area. Let's get to these local teams. We looked over this last week or so, and we said, who are some of the local teams that are really, catching our eyes right now, whether for good reasons or bad. But I'm going to start off with a team we just talked about in 6A, and we're going to go through a lot of 6A District 1 teams right now, because that is what's local to us. Let's talk Abington. Abington is 5-2 right now, 3-0 in their league play. January 3rd, I'm going to go backwards here. January 3rd, they beat Neshaminy, 72-45. Big win over Neshaminy right there. December 29th, before the new year, they take a loss to Archbishop Carroll. And then they take a loss a week prior on December 23rd to Newman Goretti. The Newman Goretti loss was a 4-point loss. The Archbishop Carroll loss is a 14-point loss. But then they go and demolish Neshaminy. Are we talking about good things for Abington? Are we talking about good things for the Catholic League? Is it both? Is it a mix?
I think it's both, considering that when you look at the Catholic League and match it up with the Suburban 1 League, you're obviously going to choose the Catholic League over almost any other conference in the state. Abington losing those 2 games isn't necessarily the worst thing, number one, because it's not a league loss. I can't remember the last time they had a league loss, which I don't think is going to happen again this year, but you never know what could happen. No, those 2 losses shouldn't hamper their schedule at all. Those are 2 really good teams, and we're looking at an Abington team where they need to start developing their bench. When you look at the box scores, you look at the numbers, the stats, it's always Eric Dixon, it's always Lucas Monroe and Robbie Heath. But aside from them, I think it might have been in the Carroll loss. I think the bench only combined for 8 points, somewhere along those lines. That's where we'll see whether or not Abington becomes a great team or not, because they're good. There's no doubt in our minds that they're good. It's just a matter of becoming great.
And the question is, are they deep enough? And that's what you're leading up to. That's what you're talking about. Are they deep enough, or is it a three-man team? And clearly it's fueled by Eric Dixon, who is a man amongst boys.
Well, let's talk about Eric Dixon. Okay. I want to break down Eric Dixon. I think he's really the big star here for Abington. So let's break down Eric Dixon. You're seeing some great pictures of him. He is a big boy on
the size
Cap.
of him, yep.
He is. Talk to me about Eric Dixon a little bit here.
Well, his dimensions are 6'7", about 250, maybe more, Josh.
I would say around 250 to keep it balanced.
Okay, let's keep it balanced at 250. He's muscular. He's a junior. He started out as when he was a freshman. He was a little chubby, a little soft, and he's kind of toned himself up and refined defined his muscles. Okay, so does he have a good game? Yeah, he's got every aspect of the game. He can spin, he can dribble, he can lead a fast break, he can shoot the outside shot, he can make a shot for himself. He's got all kinds of opportunities towards the basket and inside. Can he have a bad game? Yeah. In my opinion, and I was there, he did not have a good game against Newman Goretti. And he was faced up against the big kid from Newman Goretti.
Marcus Littles.
Marcus Littles, who has the opposite name of what he actually is, which is very large.
Yeah.
And he's either 6'8" or 6'9" and 250, 260.
Yeah, and what needs to happen with Eric Dixon is that he needs to start. I think he needs to start getting his mind more into the game and starting to realize when do I need to stop? When do I need to stop doing certain things? So, am I shooting too much? Am I being too passive? He's just got to get his mind right with the game, because it did seem like from what the stats said on the sheet, that he was taking rush shots, that he was putting the team out of rhythm on offense. I think it's a matter of taking too many things into your own hands and realizing that we got to spread it around a little bit.
And that's a really good analysis. And he missed a lot of shots inside, which really hurt.
Uncharacteristic.
And now the game prior to that, he played your alma mater, Pennsbury, and had 41 points. Did he have much competition in that game? No. Because the kid who played against him weighed about 170.
Yeah, sure.
Well, same height. So he was banging him around. But when in this particular game, in the Newman Goretti game, he was matched against somebody as big as him. He had the ball at the basket any number of times. His shooting percentage was
We'll be talking about
way
Newman
down.
Goretti in a little bit. I definitely want to get to Newman Goretti soon. But before we get there, I do want to talk about Plymouth Whitemarsh. Plymouth Whitemarsh, another District 1 6A team here. They have a perfect record so far. They're 9-0 overall. They're 4-1 in league play. They had a big win over Wissahickon that was a 1-point victory on the road. At Wissahickon, they have a 67-66 win. They also have a win over Wood. That is nothing to scoff at. They have a win. It's a 12-point victory over Archbishop Wood here after beating Carroll. So, yeah, they go the next day, December 22nd, they beat Wissahickon. December 23rd, they beat Archbishop Wood. In that game, Ahmad Williams, you've got the Williams brothers here.
Yes, twins.
Yes. So, Ahmad Williams, Ish Horn steps in for the suspended Ahmad Williams. He's suspended for this game. Well, Ish Horn steps in and scores 20 points here. Gets some great shots around the rim, too, really playing well. But Amin Williams, the other Williams brother, he scores 12 points. Naheem McLeod, though.
Yeah. Interesting person.
Yeah, interesting
He's
person.
about 7'2".
Wow. He's a phenom.
And he's about 16 years old.
And you and I were talking about it before the show started. You said he hasn't done growing either?
I spoke to his uncle, and it appears that his father's even bigger than him. His father's 7'4". It appears that he is not done growing, and he may go to 7'4" to 7'6" in that range. So we're talking about a very tall, and he's a junior.
So
So he's got another year of high school basketball. He scored 30-something in the last game. I forget who it was against, but here it is right here, Upper Dublin. First game of the regular season. He scored 33. Now, the competition probably wasn't that great, and he is 7'2", so he's all up above the rim and everything.
Well, don't forget, you're also talking December 29th, they had a double overtime victory over Bond. Were you there for it?
I was there, yeah.
Wow.
And
Ahmad Williams leads with 15 points in that game.
Yeah. Well, by the way, Ish Horn is a great player.
Yeah.
Just to say that, 6'1" guard, a senior, very, very solid player. The Twins are really aggressive players, and it's hard to tell them apart. They're identical twins. One wears number 13, one wears number 15. So I'm sure the other teams
I
having
thought it would have been 31. That would have been fun. That would have been fun.
They may change jerseys at halftime.
Maybe.
Who
You
knows?
don't even know it.
But,
one gets kicked out, the other one comes in, suspended. We would never know.
But they have equal skills, and it's really hard to tell them apart. And they're extremely aggressive and they assert themselves very well in the game. They're really good. This is a great basketball team.
I'm going to be a little selfish here. I'm going to move on. I'm going to move to my alma mater. I'm going to go to Cheltenham.
Oh, Cheltenham.
I'm going to go to Cheltenham. Yes, Wildcats. I think we're the Wildcats. I'll go with that. No, I'm kidding. So we're going to talk Cheltenham Wildcats. They're 6-3 overall right now, 2-0 in league play. They beat Ryan by 4 points in the West Catholic Holiday Showcase at Drexel. So they go to Drexel for this fun little showcase, and they defeat Ryan there. Jack Clark stealing the show, though. Stat line, 24, 11, and 7.
He is a freak of nature. That's just the only way I can put it right now. That stat line, 24 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists. The kid can do it all, and he's essentially the best player on Cheltenham.
And where is he committed to? LaSalle.
Hey!
Your school.
Another one of my alma maters.
That's right.
This is perfect.
LaSalle University.
This is perfect.
Committed, and you're right. He can do everything. He's an all-round player. Also, Ahmad Bickley is on that team.
Yeah, very
Bickley can
dynamic.
score.
Yeah, good dynamic point guard, can get to the rim.
That's
very,
right.
very flashy.
16 points, 7 assists in the Holiday Classic.
Bickley's consistently scoring a lot, and obviously Clark is too. So it's a real good team.
Let's keep going with 6A. Neshaminy. They're 7-2 overall, and they are 1-1 in league play. They take a loss to Academy Park on the 6th. That was the other day. They take a 3-point loss. That's a tough one. But they get really blown out by Abington, 72-49.
The key to that game was shutting out the younger Archdiacono, Chris. Mm-hmm. He only scored 8 points, and Abington forced him into a lot of contested shots, rush shots, shots that you don't want. Shots that you don't want. You don't want rush shots. You want high percentage baskets, and that's what Neshaminy struggled to do because they eliminated Archdiacono from.
And once you eliminate Archdiacono, you kind of shut the Neshaminy team down. Unfortunately, Archdiacono has had 31, 34, 30, and 30 in 4 other December games. So this is a kid who can put some points up.
And you had to figure that kind of performance would come against a league opponent because you play against them for so many years and you get their game plan down, and then you say, all right, let's get rid of this kid, keep him off the scoreboard, and we're going to win the game. I mean, that's essentially the easiest game plan you can come up with in basketball.
Well, we have a lot of schools that we need to cover. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about the Central Bucks School District. We're going to go south, west, east, north. We're going to talk all of any other directional places that they want to build into high schools, whatever they want to do. When we come back here on 3 in the Key. Stay tuned.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have spent 3 days with one of the most insane program, okay, I have witnessed in my 17-year career. It excites me, the presence of point blank period, of Coach Dooley, of Coach Fowler, of the people that he works out with, that he trains with, okay? It's exciting. And you have had the luxury of spending 3 awesome days with these people. I watched Coach Fowler play. Mr. Coach, you watch Coach Fowler play? He is one of the most annoying basketball players you will ever see in your life. Okay? Because exactly what he trains, exactly what he preaches to you, he does at all times. This is real habit. This is not a gimmick. This is real basketball. Real basketball. Something that he has found success with. He has spread the word.
Welcome back to the Sports Fan Base Network. Thanks so much for staying tuned with us as we're going to keep going. We're going to talk about Central Bucks. You've already heard us talk about the Cheltenham Panthers. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, I look at my notes too much, but thank you very much. Cheltenham Panthers there. Let's talk Central Bucks south first. We're going to go south, we're going to go west, and then we'll go east. But going south first, they're 7-2 overall. They're 4-0 in league play. January 5th and January 3rd, they have impressive wins here. On the 5th, they go over William Tennant 51-24. That game was never even in reach for Tennant. January 3rd, they get a win over rival, CB West. That's a close game, 46-40 at that point.
Any win that you can get in the SOL Continental between the Central Bucks schools is huge. This is it's a big rivalry game. They're very close to each other, obviously.
SOL Suburban 1 League.
Yeah. But the Titans and CB South have a very good big man in Nate Robinson. He's about 6'8", 6'9", which is about a foot taller than the original Nate Robinson at 5'9".
5'6", right?
Yeah, or something like that.
I believe Nate Robinson, I actually met him. He was playing for the Delaware 87ers. He signed to play with them for about a half a season.
It was last year.
It was last year. He came on and he played for them, and he was a great guy.
He was quite an athlete.
Yes.
Great athlete.
For his height,
God.
what he could do, former dunk champion.
He's one of the great athletes in NBA history.
Aside from that, the big Nate Robinson for
Forgive
CB
me, I'm
South.
sorry, I derailed.
What is his
sorry.
height, Josh?
About 6'8", 6'9",
Okay.
somewhere around there.
Wow.
He is the big Nate Robinson.
He keeps Central Bucks South in any tough game that they play.
Wow. Very nice. Central Bucks West, 7-3 overall, 3-1 in league play. 2 big wins over CB East and CB West. 65-55 win over East, 46-40 win over West.
Yeah, CB West has been known in the past couple of years to be a very, very good SOL Continental team. But then they get out sometimes and they go further. They go further into the district tournament. Never really much of a state tournament perennial power, but they always have the right amount of talent.
All right, here's my question for you I'm going to do this in a little bit of a way where we kind of move along too. Is East the best team of the Central Bucks teams? They're 8-3 overall, 2-2 in league play. Is East coming off of 3 losses?
That's a very good question.
Are they the best team though?
I think there's a lot of parity amongst the CB teams.
Very
I think
fair.
They're all very close.
Yeah.
What do you think, Josh?
I mean,
I look here and I see 3 losses, and that's why I asked.
Sure,
but we talk strength of schedule here. Your losses are to CB West, Penridge, and Boyertown was an overtime loss.
yeah, that game against Penridge is very tough because Penridge is my front runner for the leader in the SOL Continental.
And that's a 1-point loss there.
It's a good team.
So, and this is why when you get into the Suburban 1 League, it's so interesting, especially when you get to the Continental, because top to bottom, with the exception of William Tennant, it's one of the most exciting games of. They're just one of the most exciting leagues to watch.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. North Penn, Penridge, they're all good.
Well, let's talk
Souderton.
Penridge. Let's talk Penridge right now. Penridge is 8-3 overall. They're 1-1 in league play. January 6th, they get a win over Wissahickon. Big win, 8-point win, 62-54. And then they had a game against Souderton that, because of the ice and the snow and everything we've had here around the Philly area, that gets postponed. That's right. So the 5th game doesn't happen just yet. It'll be postponed and played later on. Penridge, where do we stay?
Well, as I just said, they're my front runner for the Continental Conference. They do a very good job controlling the game, especially when they play at home. I think Penridge is one of the better home teams in the area, and it's going to be very hard for them to lose at home.
Let's talk about a 5A team really quickly here. I want to talk about Wissahickon. They're a District 1 5A team. They're 6-2 overall, 2-1 in the conference. They take a loss to Penridge. We just talked about that. That was the 62-54 one, but they have a win over Upper Dublin, 65-51. Where do we see Wissahickon going this year?
I think Wissahickon is the dark horse in the SOL American behind Cheltenham and PW. That's where I see them finishing there.
All right.
They have a strong scorer, Fortescue, I think is how you say his name.
Yeah.
Is that about right? And he's a consistent high scorer, and Wissahickon may be a surprise team. You're right. And they have the nicest gym in the Suburban Conference.
Nicest gym in the Suburban Conference. I like that. I like that.
It's like an arena.
That's perfect.
It's really nice.
Hatboro Horsham. January 6th. They've got a win at Radnor, and then they get a win at Quakertown before that, January 2nd, right after the New Year. They get a win at Quakertown, and that was a 60-40 win before a 43-37 win over Radnor. Where do you see this in 6A District 1?
Well, I think the biggest question that we had about Hatboro Horsham coming into this year was how were they going to bounce back from the loss of Clifton Moore, graduated, now playing in Indiana. Along with Jay Davis and Colin Kennedy, there were 2 very, very good players coming off the bench. I think Kennedy came off the bench, and Jay Davis was about a 6'5" wing guy who could do almost anything. Hatboro Horsham has obviously responded pretty well with the 6-3 record. It's just all a matter of can they keep it going throughout as they go through league play.
Pennsbury, We've got one more school to break down as we do our little bit of a local tour here, and that's Pennsbury, 6A District 1. They're 4-5 overall right now, and they're 0-2 in league play. But they are coming off 3 wins in a row. They've got Pocono Mountain West, Chichester, and Episcopal Academy. What do we see from them?
Hey, Episcopal Academy coming out of the Interact, that's a big victory for them.
Well, that was a 54-45 victory for them.
Yeah, and what Bill Coleman's doing with these kids right now is he realized coming into the season about 85% of their starting players, their varsity players, their scorers last year were all gone, graduated. Yeah. And I think Coleman's doing a very good job of teaching these guys how to close out games and how to stay disciplined throughout the entire game. And the fact that we're seeing new faces on this Pennsbury squad, some of them are seniors and we're not going to be able to see them again. But I think Coleman's got this team moving in the right direction. And I know it's very early and there's a lot more games to be played. But Pennsbury is a playoff team in 6A. You never know what kind of noise they can make.
And I saw them against Abington, and they showed a lot of heart. They were outmanned, obviously, and outsized physically, but they did show a lot of gusto.
Absolutely. Well, guys, I'm going to give you a little bit of a tease, something we're going to talk about next time, in the next segment here. We are going to talk about the brawl and the stall.
Well,
so if you're curious about that at home, the brawl and the stall, make sure that you stay tuned right after these words from our sponsor.
Hi, I'm Tommy Green, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. When I was in high school, it was very important to me to show scouts what I could do. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the Sports Fan Base Network. If you're a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215-624-0922 or 866-PAY-EASY.
Hi, I'm Marty Bystrom, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. In my experience in Major League Baseball, I know how important it is for high school athletes to gain exposure. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the Sports Fan Base Network. If you are a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215-624-0922 or 866-PAY-EASY.
Welcome back to 3 in the Key on the Sports Fan Base Network. Thank you so much for staying tuned with us as we get into our next segment, which we're going to dub the segment of the Brawl and the Stall. So here's how it's going to go. I'm just going to kind of frame this a little bit, and then I'm going to pass it over to Kapp. I'm going to let you and Josh kind of break this down a little bit. But we've got a 4A District 3 team in Middletown taking on Steel High. They're a 3A District 3 team. This is December 18th, so we're going back a few weeks.
I think the day of our first show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this was a major fight that happens after the game.
Right.
Sees Middletown beat Steel High 47-46. It's a home game for Steel High. So Steel High takes this 1-point loss at home, and then we get to the handshake line. And Kapp, I'm going to leave you off there. How does it go from that point?
It's very interesting because I've never been a proponent of the handshake line. I don't like it. No. Because it seems, look, I know it's good sportsmanship.
Is it forced?
And I know everybody's going to disagree with me. It's forced. None of the kids want to do it. It's uncomfortable. Good game, good game, good game, good game, good game. It's uncomfortable. Yeah. Well, here's what happened. 2 kids from the previous year's team from Steel High came out of the stands, got in the handshake line, and started a little ruckus with some of the players from Middletown. And the police came in, and there was like some punches thrown and things like that. Then after that all got settled down, they went outside, and several dozen people got into fights, including parents, adults, and so on and so on. And it lasted a while, and it was a big deal out there. This is a big rivalry game, and I think they replay this game on the 17th, I think it is, of this month, either the 17th or the 19th.
Do you expect another brawl and stall?
It's the 19th. Well, the stall was in a different game, but
okay.
The brawl is always a possibility. There could
Tell me
be-
about the stall.
What do they call it in wrestling? The steel cage?
The steel
What do they
cage.
call it?
There for the gridiron. That's it, WrestleMania.
We hope not.
WrestleMania.
We hope not. But Middletown is a very good team. 5 football players that played on the great Middletown football team that went to the final this year.
Yeah.
Also play on the basketball team. So we're looking at Ryan Hughes, I think it's Tyreer Mills is how you say it. Chris Plummer is another one. And there's several others that played football and also play on the basketball team. So this is this is a strong team.
I think it's also worth noting real quick that it was a 1-point loss
Yeah,
for
1 point loss.
for Steel
For
High.
Steel High.
For
At
Steel
home.
High at home.
At home.
So
Very contentious.
Obviously, there's no condoning what happened afterwards. But
That's right.
a 1-point loss, big rival, at home. Obviously, a lot of frustration.
I'm going to take this back a little bit. I'm going to take this to our viewers at home. Because we have that whole comment section at the bottom of the page, whether you're watching us on Facebook Live or whether you're watching us on YouTube on a delay, however you're watching us right now, in that comment section, I want you to go off of what Kapp said before. Pros and cons of the handshake line.
Yeah.
Do you agree with it? Should we get rid of it? Is it one of those things in sports that we don't need? You know, we see it in pro sports, but we see it mostly in high school and college sports, especially basketball. Yeah. Should the handshake line at the end be there? Should it exist? Tell me. Tell us. Do you think it exists? We're definitely going to have to check back in on that and hear what that. Should it exist?
Should it exist?
Should it exist? Is the question there? Pros and cons. Should we?
I think it started in hockey. I think it started in ice hockey,
Yeah.
and that's where it started many, many years ago.
Really?
And it became a tradition, maybe 40 years ago. Because in my day, we didn't do that.
No.
We still don't. When I play in men's leagues, you'll shake hands with the guys,
Yeah.
but you go individually. You don't get it.
All right.
In a line.
Well, let's talk about some individual guys right now.
Yeah.
Sam Sessoms from
Sessoms.
Shipley takes on Episcopal Academy. 35 points, includes 9 3-pointers, 2 assists, and 2 steals. Sam Sessoms.
Well, I have not seen him play,
Okay.
but I've heard a lot about him. And he's a kid who can really, really score a lot.
Well,
of
you can
points.
see him on his picture right there on the
There he
screen
is,
right
right
there.
there.
What's he getting the ball for at this point? He's getting for the 1,000th point right there. There you go.
And
last
year.
Last
So
year's
that was
game,
last
1,000th point.
Plays in the
last year.
Friends League.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Clearly you can't leave him wide open. You can't give him
I
any
guess not.
space.
No, 1,000 points? I don't think so.
And
he's adding on to that now?
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at 1,500.
he had 37 against New Mogoretti.
37 against one of the top teams in the state.
Did you want to cover the stall? Did we miss the
Do
stall?
you want to talk to this? Yeah, let's
cover the
should we go
stall?
back to the stall?
I'll make it
Let's
quick.
go back. Make it quick. Go ahead.
Okay, the next game, Middletown goes into their next game against Bishop McDevitt, and 2 minutes left in the first quarter. Bishop McDevitt's in a triangle on 2. Middletown wants to draw him into a man, so Middletown stalls. Now, this is something you don't see. You don't see stalls
You used to see
anymore.
with the four corners offense.
Yeah,
but
4 corners. And many years ago, you would see real slow-down games. You don't see it. They stalled the entire second quarter. When I say stalled, I mean a guard stood at half court with the ball like this or like this and didn't move for 8 minutes.
for the whole quarter.
Nobody dribbled. Nobody
And what was
passed.
his
Nobody
point in
moved.
doing
Nobody
it?
shot.
But
Nobody
what's his
breathed.
point? What's the point in doing it?
It was a little, I don't know. You know, one coach wanted them to come out into a man, and they didn't want to come out in a man. The Middletown team wanted Bishop McDevitt to come out into a man. Bishop McDevitt wanted to stay in their triangle on 2, and there was a little bit of a battle going on there.
Brawl in
The
the
game went
stall.
into overtime, by the way, and Bishop McDevitt ended up winning. Low-scoring game, but it's
All right.
first stall game in many, many years.
Let's take a look here. Bonner Prendy,
Bonner Prendy,
Isaiah Wong.
transfer.
6'2", 160 pounds.
Maybe.
I'm just going to go, maybe. All right, let me go over this here.
There he
Because we
is.
do have offers coming through. We have some offers, some college offers are coming through. He has already received offers.
Yes.
From St. Joe's,
And deserves them.
Pittsburgh, TCU, Temple, Memphis, Connecticut, Tulane, Rutgers, Monmouth, Seton Hall, Miami, and
Amazing.
Villanova.
He's a junior, am I right? I believe he's a junior.
Junior.
I think he's a junior. He's,
yeah.
he's a transfer from Notre Dame. of
Transfer
New
from
Jersey.
Lawrenceville.
That's a
Yeah.
private school
Yep.
out in
All those schools you just named, Richie, were all major schools.
They are, absolutely.
except for Monmouth. So obviously this kid
Yes.
is drawing.
I saw him.
Monmouth,
Look at that
Seton Hall.
picture. I think Folks at home just saw him jump about 45 inches off the ground in that photo.
But
He's an
Miami
athlete.
basketball, I don't know about Miami basketball.
yeah.
Miami.
Well, Miami's in the ACC. They made it
Miami's
to the
good.
Sweet 16
Getting
a couple
better.
years ago.
Juan Newton plays there,
Yep.
and
Lonnie Walker.
Lonnie Walker's there. No, it's an up-and-coming program, but this kid is quite the athlete. And by the way, he's a very unselfish player. I got to see him play in the double overtime game, and he looked good.
Is he 6'2", 160?
He might be 6'3", 150.
Wow.
It's hard to say. He's very thin.
He's growing.
real thin, but he's gutsy, aggressive, and not afraid of anything. And he's not selfish at all. He includes all his teammates. He's a real good player.
He's going to be a very big boost to whichever one of these.
He's very good. His jump shot might need a little work in its form. You know, some of the fluidity and the mechanics of his jump shot could be worked on, the release point and so on. But he's real good.
Isaiah, I'll put the vote in. Go to Temple. B&L.
Drexel.
It's not even on.
Archbishop Wood has a star. Seth Pinckney.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
he completes the star-studded lineup that Archbishop Wood has with Andrew Funk, Carrington
right.
Wallace, and Tyree Pickron. Those
That's
are
right.
three Division I players.
Look at that wingspan. Look at the wingspan.
Seth Pinckney,
Great picture.
7'4" wingspan.
Wow.
7'4" wingspan. He could definitely become the fourth player on that squad to rack up Division I offers. And that's not even worry about the big four on that team.
Right.
John Moscow throws everyone out there. That's why Archbishop Wood is so good.
They're deep.
They're deep. He uses everybody, essentially.
He looks like he just kind of took a little bit of a leap in that picture right there that you're looking at on your screen.
Yeah,
it's like he just took a little bit of a step in there. Oh, look, it's the rim.
Now, I haven't seen him play in person yet, but from the highlights I've seen, it seems that he doesn't go as strong to the rim as you want a tall 7'7" center
He's
to go.
working on that aspect of his game. He's developing an offensive game in regard to what you just mentioned. But he's a big-time defender. He's a tough kid, even though he's very thin. I mean, what does he weigh? 180 maybe? At maybe 190? He's thin. He's real thin.
So I guess the question is, how much weight do you add to a player?
Well, and that's what I'm wondering. How much weight do you add, and how much weight do you want to have before it starts slowing it down? You know, because you need to have muscle at this point.
You need to be built, but you also need to be able to run the floor. You can't be like the what the 7'7" players do, and they just. They jog their way up the floor.
All right, our last player to break down here, we're going to go to Northeastern New York. It was a little bit of a late addition for us, but Antonio Rizzuto, Northeastern New York.
Cap,
he scored 83 points in 2 games.
And you said 18
three-pointers
in 2 games,
in 2 games. I believe he had 47 in the first game, and whatever 83 minus 47 is. 36, I think.
36.
Yeah, 36 in the second game, so that's 2 games in a row. And that's impressive at any level of basketball. We haven't seen him play, but I know somebody who did see him play, and said that he has a really fine
The opportunities that we get to watch him play might be limited, but the amount of points that he scored won't be.
That's right.
He's going to put Northeast on the map.
Yeah, they play in the York Adams League, which is a District 3 conference.
And listen, we only broke down 5, 6 players so far. We're going to talk a little bit more as we go into some big games that are coming up in the area. We're going to talk Philly Public, Philly Catholic. But if there are specific players that you at home want us to talk about, you want us to take a look into, we've got some great analysts here. Tell us, who do you want us to talk about? Who do you want to hear about? What are our thoughts? You want to know? Just tell us who you're looking at. But we've got some big games coming up in the week ahead, and I'm sure we're going to be talking about some of these next week. But I want to start off, let's look at January 9th. Public Leagues A and B are who I want to go to first here. Constitution versus MCS, Math, Civics, and Sciences.
We mentioned that before.
We did. We talked about them.
Constitution,
top 2 teams here. Constitution is 4-4. Math, Civics, and Sciences, they're also 4-4. Do we see this? This could be a great game, guys.
This is always a great game because these 2 teams have been matching up for 10, 15 years now. Head coach of Constitution is Rob Moore, an excellent coach. And the head coach of Math, Civics, and Science, Danny Jackson, has been the only coach ever for the Mighty Elephants.
Mighty
We
Elephants.
love
Heard we
it.
do love that.
The Mighty Elephants.
Public League B.
Yeah.
Bartram Communications, so Bartram, versus
Bartram, yeah.
Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln. Bartram, they're 1-1. They've got the win over Boys Latin and a 2-point loss to Sankofa Freedom Academy. Abraham Lincoln, though, 7-2, 4-0 in league play.
Yeah.
Wins over Friend Central, Harry S. Truman, and Central Bucks South. That's a big win there.
This is where you might want to go with Lincoln because not only they're undefeated in the conference, but Bartram is 0. Does it say 0-2? They're 0-2 in their conference.
There's a big size difference in this game also.
I definitely see Lincoln taking over in this one for sure. January 10th. Let's move to a Philly Catholic League game here. Ryan, who's 6-4, 1-0 in league play, versus Wood, 4-4, 1-0 in league play.
I have a feeling that this is the game where Archbishop Wood will start to go on their hot streak, where like they usually do, and they're going to. I think they're going to blow Ryan out.
Cap, do you see that?
Yeah.
I think that is a very good possibility. Ryan, is it at Ryan, the game, or is it at Wood?
It's at Wood.
It's at Wood. So
It's at Wood,
Ryan's
I
going to have a
believe.
tough game. I mean, look, Wood is loaded, like we talked about. I saw Wood the other day, maybe a week ago, against Judge, and Judge gave him a game. Now, that's a tough place to play.
Now, they were also in Father Judge, right?
That was at Father Judge. It's a tough place to play, and they've lost 3 years in a row.
At Judge.
At Judge. So it was a tough. Now, Wood pulled the game out. I think you're right. I think they will beat Ryan. Although Ryan, is it Joe, who's the coach? Rogers, I think it is. I forget his name. Anyway, he produces good products also, but they'll be outmanned and they'll be outsized.
January 11th, we just talked about Constitution for a Philly Public A game, taking on Imhotep Charter. Constitution,
assignment.
we already said even record 4-4, but Imhotep 9-2, 5-0.
Imhotep is one of the top 20 teams in the country, in my opinion.
And they were great in football
if not
too?
better.
They are.
if
So
not better.
let me give you the Imhotep Charter's rankings here. They are ranked number 1 in many polls here, many PA polls.
then they
They are ranked number 24 in the Excellent 25.
There you go.
And nationally ranked number 19.
And that's what I was speaking of. I didn't even know that, but I mean, they definitely deserve a top 20 ranking. And they have four players that are around 6'6", 6'7", and led by Donta Scott, who's a junior and is a major prospect, being looked at by all the big schools, that are around here, and also some big schools up and down the coast.
All right.
So it's a really good team.
Let's keep going here. I'm going to break through this. I'm just going to let you guys talk. I want to talk about the January 12th games. We're not going to do each school individually like we did for the January 11th because these are some teams we've already talked about in our segment. But January 12th, you've got some Catholic League action going here. St. Joe's Prep versus Lansdale Catholic.
That's a big game.
That is a big game. I'm going to let you guys talk on that
Yeah.
one before. I'm not going to skip that one over.
Right,
We
that's a
haven't
big
talked those
game.
two, but
Yeah.
go ahead, guys. St. Joe's Prep, Lansdale Catholic.
Okay.
Prep, number 8 state ranked. Lansdale Catholic, number 155 state ranked.
Yeah, well, it's a bit of a mismatch there, but why is it an important game? Because it may very well be the 1,000th victory for Speedy Morris. Speedy Morris
Unbelievable.
has coached
He coached at LaSalle, my alma mater,
LaSalle University, right?
and he
Both
was
men and women, by the way.
yes one of the
correct.
one of the only Division I coaches to coach men's and women's. He's very,
Successful,
yeah,
too.
very
Yeah.
very ambidextrous if you want
That's right,
to
that's Yeah.
consider it that. But
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
He also coached at Roman for many years. I mean, he's a legend. I ref some of his games. I know him personally. He's a living legend. There's no question about it. He's probably in either his last year or the end of his career. I mean, look, he's an older man. He had a knee replaced recently. I saw him with a cane. I mean, look, he's a tough guy. Right. Speedy Morris is a tough guy. But this is a big. I'm going to be there. I'm going to go and watch this 1,000th victory, which I'm predicting.
Suburban 1 American game. Plymouth White Marsh, we already talked about them. At Cheltenham, we talked about them too.
Good game.
PW 9-0, 4-0. Number 2 state ranked, 47 national.
This game in a little bit less than a month, when it's at Plymouth White Marsh, determines the SOL American title. These are the top 2 teams in the conference by far. I know we talked about Wissahickon being a dark horse,
Yep.
but Plymouth White Marsh, I think, it's not going to be close. It's going to be a very tough and gritty game, but Plymouth White Marsh is going to dig both of those out.
Philly Catholic League.
So too.
Bonner Prendy at Archbishop Wood. That's going to be on January 12th. Bonner Prendy 8-2, state ranked number 6, taking on Wood. They're 4-4, state ranked number 25.
This young man, Wong, is very good, but he's not the only player on that team.
Okay.
So there's a guy named Ingraham, and he's a guy to be reckoned with. He's 6'9", I believe. I think I have that right. Yep, 6'9".
Yeah, he's going to
Right?
counterpart Seth Pinckney when they play, obviously.
Yes, he is. And he's a strong kid. He's not a skinny kid. He's going about 230, I'm thinking, something like that. He hit the buzzer shot in regulation, and he also hit the layup to put the game into second overtime last week
against PW.
Yeah. So this is a team to be reckoned with. As we said earlier, Bonner Prendy is a team that may surprise a lot of other squads.
Carroll at LaSalle. It's another Catholic League game. Carroll's 5-4. LaSalle's 7-3 overall. Both teams 0-1 in league play.
Yeah. Well, you have to figure the winner of this game is going to finish at the top tier in the Catholic League. You can't fall to an 0-2 deficit in league play, especially in the Catholic League.
No,
that's right.
All right,
get down fast. That's right.
Yeah.
By the way, I just want to mention.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Archbishop Carroll has a great sophomore, AJ Hogard, is how you say his name. He's about 6'2", 6'3", but muscular and very, very good at every aspect of the game. So he's a kid we're going to look at, as we discuss down the road, our super softs.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You got $10 I can borrow?
Why?
Well, because we got the SFBN Game of the Week.
Here we go, $10.
And for $10, you can go to the PCL portal and you can check out Roman at Newman Goretti. $10. Roman, state ranked number 3. They're 5-2. Yep. 0-0 in league play, no league games yet. But they're taking on Newman Goretti at Newman Goretti. Newman Goretti is 6-3, 1-0. State ranked number 15. They've got the big win over Archbishop Carroll back on the 2nd. So I'm going to need that $10 so we can watch this game together. I'll bring the pizza. You pay for the game. I'll bring the pizza. I'll bring the pizza. It'll be good. Yeah. It'll be good. What do you guys think? Roman,
I'll be on the broadcast, so I don't have to pay the $10.
Oh, perfect. He doesn't have to pay the $10. He's good.
I'm actually doing the color commentary on that,
beautiful.
which, by the way, is very exciting because this is one of the best gyms to work in. It's an amazing experience. Very, very small. Maybe under 300 people can fit into the gym, and about 3,000 are outside in the hallways and on the streets.
You don't have to worry about that.
They all want to get in. I don't have to worry about it.
You don't have to worry about it.
And the last time we did this game, it was watched by thousands. It's a big, big, big rivalry. Both of these teams have been good for a long, long time. So this should be a lot of fun. And please tune into this game on SFBN.
Yeah, SFBN. Go to the PCL portal. You can check that out. $10. You can watch this great game. It really is. We've got 3 more games I want to break down really quickly here, and I want to do this quick because we are running out of time so quickly. Roman at Lansdale Catholic. Roman is 5-2 overall right now. Lansdale Catholic 8-4 overall right now. But Roman ranked number 3 in the state.
Is that Sunday? Is that a Sunday game?
It's January 14th.
Okay.
So yes, that is a Sunday.
It's a Sunday game. Yeah. Well, Roman should win that game. I mean,
absolutely, Roman. They won the Orange Bowl in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. Well, the Junior Orange Bowl.
That's right, Junior Orange. Roman has a
little different Orange Bowl.
When you go out and beat opponents in other states, it really that's the key to setting you up for interstate play.
And it's a great experience for the kids just to play against some of those great teams. Roman has a sophomore guard named Lynn Greer III, and I think everybody knows who his father was. Lynn
well
Greer
aware.
Junior, I guess it is, and Lynn Greer, the original. There's 3 of them. I actually know all 3. And this Lynn Greer III is might be the best of the 3.
Wow. St. Joe's Prep at Bonner Prendy on the 14th. We've already talked about these 2 teams so much, but Prep at 8.
It's all going to be about how they do individually in their games before they meet each other. Mm-hmm. Could there be a bit of a hangover from St. Joe's Prep? I mean, you really don't know with this league in general.
Last one, Philly Catholic League game. Newman Goretti at Judge. Goretti is state ranked 15th. Father Judge, state ranked 39.
Hey, if Newman Goretti thinks they're going to walk in there and take Judge apart, they got a few things coming because Judge plays very solid, fundamental, and deliberate basketball. It's not a slowdown, but it's deliberate and it's smart.
A lot of backdoor cuts.
Yes, it
is.
A
lot of off-ball screens. A lot of moving without the ball. I mean, those are basically the 3 key things.
And without a shot clock, they'll hold till they get what they want. They're very smartly coached by Sean Tate.
Well, for those of you at home, do you know the answer to our trivia question? Who is the winningest coach in Philly Public League history? Right, I got that right that time? Philly Public League history. Who's the winningest coach? Do you know? Well, you've got about 45 seconds to put your answer in the comments below, because when we come back, we're going to answer that trivia question, and we're going to put a bow on this show. Stay tuned to 3 in the Key.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've spent 3 days with the most insane program, okay, I have witnessed in my 17-year career. It excites me, the presence of point blank period, of Coach Dooley, of Coach Fowler, of the people that he works out with, that he trains with, okay? It's exciting. And you have had the luxury the luxury of spending 3 awesome days with these people. I watched Coach Farrell play. Mr. Cole, you watch Coach Farrell play? He is one of the most annoying basketball players you will ever see in your life. Okay? Because exactly what he trains, exactly what he preaches to you, he does at all times. This is real habit. This is not a gimmick. This is real basketball. Real basketball. Something that he has found success with. He has spread the word.
Welcome back to 3 in the Key here on the Sports Fan Base Network. Thank you so much to those of you tuning in. I said it before, we want you to comment during the show. We're going to check in with 2 of our commenters right now. Corey Sharp, my old co-host. Corey Sharp, listening and watching out there. Well, Corey Sharp commented, not on our trivia question, actually, although I know he knows the answer to it, but Corey Sharp actually commented on our discussion of the handshake line. And to quote him in his oh-so-elegant writing ways, he claims it is corny.
Corey said it was corny.
Corey said it was corny.
And Corey, I agree with you.
There you go. Care to weigh in?
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with the next commenter that
Dale McCartney. McCourtney, excuse me.
Mountney.
Forgive me. I'm going to read my own handwriting one of these days.
It's agree to disagree. I don't know. I'm a little young to decide that, but
You're not that
teach
young.
them. You got to teach them young, but you can't teach them
Absolutely.
forever. So it's.
Now,
really
I was a referee in a game. Just to step in for
fine.
a second. I was a referee in a game years and years ago, and one player didn't like another player, and they went through that handshake line and punched him right in the mouth. I saw it, and it was a big game.
So do you think maybe this is a great story? Do you think maybe we do the handshake line up to a certain point, to a certain age, then we stop? Do we stop at high school?
Yes.
Do we stop at college?
I mean, I know it's the NBA, and it's a whole lot different. But they go up to each other individually and shake hands.
Yeah, the NBA, they do it on their own.
Is there not a lot of
There
trust?
is a handshake line in the NBA,
Sometimes.
but it happens with the coaches, not the players in a line. It happens with the coaches.
How about the NFL? You see the way the NFL does it? They just go in the middle of the field, and they
Everybody's
find a
tossed
guy.
to whoever they
They want
want.
to say nice game.
So
that's
really,
it.
I think it's a big trust issue with the kids. Can you trust?
Yeah.
Can you trust the kids to maturely
Maybe
say
not.
good game?
Maybe
All right.
not. Maybe
we're
that's the
going to
reason
get
do it.
to. We're going to give a little bit of credit here. Cap, I know this was something really big for you. You want to talk about Speedy Morris and his
Morris.
1,000th win.
Speedy Morris, as we mentioned earlier, has been at how many schools? 5 schools. Roman was a big school for Speedy. He then moved up. He went to the LaSalle women first. Then he went to the LaSalle men.
Had a lot of success there in the first
Yes.
couple of years. Yeah.
I mean, and then he kind of faded a little bit. I think he got tired of the recruiting process. I'd have to ask him personally. But in any case, he ended up going back to high school at St. Joe Prep and has been there for 16 years, I think.
Almost. I think this is the 16th year.
16th year, and every year he's successful. He's great at working with young men and molding them into basketball players. He's got a good team this year.
All right. Well, speaking of
1,000
good
wins.
teams,
Friday.
1,000 wins. Speaking of good teams, speaking of winning teams, Cap, who is the winningest coach in Philly Public League history?
The winningest coach in Philly Public League history is a guy who has never used his real name.
It's a good hint.
Nobody knows his real
It's
name.
a good hint. There you go.
So his
Go
name,
ahead.
he was at Dobbins for 34 years, and his name is Yank. Real name, Richard Yankowitz. And no one knows that, actually, because, again, nobody uses his real name. So he's known to everyone as Yank. He's put, he had one Public League championship in 1985. Hank Gathers and Bo Kimball were on that team. It was just one of the best high school teams of all time. Doug Overton was also on the team. Imagine that, right? 6 guys came out of that program while Yank was there 34 years and went into the NBA, or would have gone into the NBA. Hank Gathers died in his last college game. I think most of the fans know that story, unfortunately. Yank had 486 wins and I think 200 and some losses, which gives him a winning percentage of about 67, I think, maybe 67%, which is very good. Had some great teams over the years, and I ref many a game of Yanks, and he was one of the most intense coaches I've ever seen. and never bothered the referees. Had one tech in 34 years.
Winningest coach in Philly Public League history.
Yep.
Well, guys, that about wraps us up here. We got a couple of news and notes, a couple of announcements for you at home. You're definitely going to want to stay tuned for this. One big thank you to everybody at home. Thank you so much, whether you're tuning in live or you're on a tape delay here. Thank you so much for tuning in to our second show of the season. We're going to be back every Monday night. Even the ice outside couldn't keep us away from doing our show tonight. So thank you so much for tuning in with us. Clearly, you look at our show. This was a lengthy show, guys, and there is just so much to discuss throughout this entire state here. 3 in the Key, we're going to be your place to be all high school basketball season throughout Pennsylvania. Be sure to check back each week. We'll talk stats. We'll talk standings. We're going to look at a lot of different websites, a lot of different article reviews, not just the ones we use tonight, but a lot of different ones. See how people are ranking these teams throughout the state, especially as we get up to playoff time. Make sure, even if you're not watching live, comment on the show. We love checking on these. We actually have some great interns here. We don't even let them go home. We keep them here, and they just do nothing but wait for the comments to come through on the show. They just stay here and wait. So please, give them what to read, give them what to do, and just comment on the show. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you'd like to hear about. A big reminder to those of you at home, Roman at Newman Goretti for $10. You can check that out on the PCL portal. Go through the Sports Fan Base Network's website, and you'll be able to check out Roman at Newman Goretti. Make sure to catch all the great content from the Sports Fan Base Network. We've got some great shows this season. I know you checked out a couple in our initial week, but you've got On the Mat with Mark Tribble. That's Tuesdays. Varsity Voice with Frankie Stokes. That's Wednesdays. And In the Paint, girls basketball. That's with Nikki Jones. Thursdays. Make sure to check that out. But for our show here, 3 in the Key, make sure, and with the other shows too, but make sure you like, make sure you share, that's the key, and make sure you post about 3 in the Key right here on Facebook and YouTube. Make sure to get the word out. 3 in the Key is the spot for all that you need with high school boys basketball. We will be back next and every Monday throughout this entire season. Be sure to check us out on Facebook Live. We'll give you some recaps, analysis, predictions, and if you can't check us out on Facebook or YouTube, you can check us out on iTunes. Take us on the go with you. Check out the podcast section and go check out the Sports Fan Base Network. You'll be able to find 3 in the Key. So you can podcast, you can take us with. That's what our producer Julian Bellman does. He takes our podcast with, listens to us all day long. He can't get enough of it. So please make sure you take it with you. And be sure when you do go and check out the podcast, please, that 5-star review is so important. 5-star reviews for the podcast throughout. It helps us so much. In the meantime, when you're taking care of all that other stuff, be sure to log on to www.thesfbn.com. Sports Fan Base Network, thesfbn.com. Check out some great information that's up there. Great articles, great insights, great analysis. And you can also check out our show schedule if you didn't hear it before. Thank you so much to my wonderful analysts here. Thank you so much to our production staff, Julian Bellman. We wouldn't be able to do the show without you. To our wonderful interns, our wonderful production assistants. You guys are amazing helping us put this show together, braving the cold, braving the ice on the roads. Yeah. For Jack Kapp, for Josh Abrams, I'm Richie Blyweiss. Thank you so much for tuning in to 3 in the Key. And I'm reminding you, stay classy and be good to each other. Have a good night.